In this video, we're going to do some radical equations that when you square both sides, they give you quadratics. So let's kind of start with about the easiest thing you could possibly imagine. Just kind of get our feet wet. Let's say square root of x equals x. Well, we've already got a square root by itself, so that was the first step. Then we square both sides. So we've got x equals x squared. Now, if you remember back to Unit 3, to solve a quadratic equation, we don't know the quadratic formula yet, so all we can really do is get one side 0 and then factor the other side. So if we subtract x on both sides, we've got 0 equals x squared minus x. Factor this guy, we can pull out an x, so 0 is x times x minus 1. If two things multiply together and the answer is 0, one of them has to be 0 already. So either this x equals 0 or the x minus 1 is 0. So x equals 0 or x equals 1. And then we said last time, when you square both sides, because squaring is not one-to-one, you always have to go back and plug these in the original equation and check them. So sure enough, square root of 0 is 0. That's fine. And square root of 1 is 1. So that's fine. So for this one, both of them happen to be answers, but we'll see in a second that that's usually not the case. Alright, let's do another one. Let's say square root, let's go 3x minus, sorry, I'm trying to make this up off the top of my head. Let's go square root of 3x minus 8 plus x is 6. Alright. Well, first thing, we got to get one side equal to just the square root, so we're going to move the x to the other side. So I've got square root 3x minus 8 is negative x plus 6. We square both sides to get rid of the square root. This side we just have 3x minus 8. On the other side, well, let me actually rewrite this thing twice, because I have to FOIL. If I just put squared, I'd be tempted to just say, oh, that's x squared and 6 squared. But remember, when you square a binomial, you really have to do FOIL. So I've got negative x times negative x is positive x squared. Negative x times 6 is minus 6x. Another minus 6x makes a minus 12x. And then 6 times 6 is 36. Again, to solve a quadratic, we get one side 0, so I'm going to move my 3x and my 8 over. So minus 3x plus 8. On this side I've got 0, x squared minus 15x plus 44. To factor something like this, I need two numbers that add up to the middle, so add to negative 15 and multiply to make 44. Those two numbers would be negative 4 and negative 11. And since this just starts with a 1, I really don't have to do anything else. I know that my two factors are going to be x minus 4, x minus 11. And again, when two things multiply and the answer is 0, one of them's got to already be 0. So we get x equals 4 if the first one's 0, or x equals 11. And before we stop, we have to plug them back in, make sure they work. If I plug in the 4, this is square root of 12 minus 8. 12 minus 8 is 4, so square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. So the 4 works. If I plug in the 11, though, this is square root of 25 is 5. 5 plus 11 is 16. That doesn't work. So I have to throw out this 11. And the only solution is x equals 4. So it's pretty easy. It's get one square root by itself, square both sides, and then you have an equation you already know how to solve. So quadratic, you get one side 0, factor the other side. Alright, let's do one more where the factoring is a little trickier. Let's say square root, let's go 5x plus 1 plus 2x equals 20. So again, we're going to get two answers and only one of them is going to work. I can tell just from the equation there's only one solution, because if I look at this guy here, this is increasing. If I make x bigger, the answer gets bigger. Same thing, this guy is increasing. If I make x bigger, the answer gets bigger. So if you graph this, when you graph something increasing, it kind of looks something like that. Which means wherever, it can only cross 20 at one spot. So even though we're going to get two solutions, only one of them is really going to work. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this right quick. We've got 5x plus 1 is negative 2x, once I move it over, plus 20. Square both sides. So on this side, I'm just going to get rid of the root. On the other side, I'm going to have to FOIL. So I've got 5x plus 1 is 2x, and 2x is 4x squared. I've got minus 40x, and another minus 40x is minus 80x, and plus 20 times 20, which is 400. Now we get one side 0, so subtract the 5x, subtract the 1. So 0 is 4x squared minus 85x plus 399. So to factor this, I need two numbers that when you multiply them, you get 4 times 399, whatever that is. And when you add them, you get negative 85. That's kind of hard to do in my head, so I'm going to kind of be tricky. This 399, let me think, I can divide that by 7. That's 7 times 57. So I can kind of, and then 57 splits down again. That's 3 times 19. So I'm going to kind of think about how can I put these numbers together so that they get like 85 apart. And actually, I guess I didn't need to do the last one, because 57 and 28, they add up to 85. So my two numbers are negative 57 and negative 28. So the only way I can make a negative 28 is to go 4x times negative 7, and then I can make the negative 57 by x times negative 57 is 0. So I get x either equals 7 or 57 over 4. And I don't think you want to see me go through the process of plugging in 57 over 4, but it's not going to work. But if you plug in 7, sure enough, you get square root of 36 is 6, plus 14 is 20. So the only solution is x equals 7.